I missed the introduction of Big Tens in 2019. That sounds pretty exciting. It's going to be awesome. This, as far as scale, possibly organization, is the Big Ten minus 11. So it's a little looser, and part of it is I don't want to burden the athletic department with organizing too much of this. But good thing about rowing, it's real simple, straight line, 2,000 meters, who gets there first. So as far as just making it happen, it's not that complicated. So Steve at Devils Lake, they know what to expect from us, and the buoy lines have already been laid, so it's fairly simple. The racing should be good. BU is, you look at the results, and they're closely matched. I think if we raced them 10 times, we would hopefully beat them 5, and they'd beat us 5. So that's you pick them in that race. Northeastern is shown to be a little better than us lately, especially in the fall. I think that will be, we're an underdog in that race. But we'll see. You never know. This is unusual. The water's great here, and it's sunny. So I don't think the 7-inch snowstorm is here just yet. I saw that this was the coldest April in, quote, history. Well, of course, we weren't here pre-1840, but still that's impressive. And it's been pretty bad, but now it sure is good. So, and I know you're all here to ask me some terrific questions, especially detailed ones as well. I'm ready. Todd's always good for a question, if not Mr. Baggett. Yeah, there you go.
I'd love to ask you how Devils Lake is as a course.
Well,
and from the perspective of I mean, I know you're not on the boat, but you go on the trailing boat or the boat that's along with it. So
the Faddle Guy boat? Yeah, that's the boat I'm on.
What do you see? What challenges, what differences are there on that
well,
water?
One thing, there's no current, which we already have here, which is a real plus. But also, it's absolutely fair. It can handle great amounts of wind and still be rowable, even if it's uncomfortable. But it's completely fair. That, as BB and Dusty will tell you, that's the #1 complaint. You know, before any competition, coaches have a tendency to get tight and uptight. Even strategizing in football, like where's the kickoff going to be, into the wind or with the wind? That's small potatoes compared to some of these courses we row on, which are terrifically unfair. And that's not an issue there. It's the #1 thing. And I'm fully confident whatever the result you get will be the proper result, because at least 2 out of every 10 races we race has the conditions have some effect. It's a real problem. So that's the best part about it. Hopefully that answers your question.
What elements of this place allow that to be that phenomenon to exist? Where
part of it is the bowl-like.
Is it the bowl? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, most people have probably been there that are here. It's really shocking if you're from here and you had never been there, you would think, well, where did this thing come from? Because it's an anomaly. It doesn't look anything like the Midwest. Not that I have a bad opinion of the Midwest, but I certainly, it's flat, and it's just unusual. Like you're in cornfields, right? And the next thing you know, you're in this sort of a mini version of Lucerne. The Rothsee in Lucerne, Switzerland, is kind of the gold standard of natural lakes. And this is sort of a larger version of that. And yeah, just go ahead and look on a map. You can, especially Google Map, you can go in and see the Rothsee. It's like in town. And it's only 2,050 meters, and there's barely any space on the side, and there's no wind. It's unbelievable. Now, this doesn't quite have all those attributes, but it reminds me of it. Plus, you could have an unlimited amount of people watching, because that's a big problem in rowing, having unlimited people showing up to watch. So the capacity is there, which is important. And we can dream, can't we? So usually don't ask 2 questions. That must have really got you going.
How did you discover this?
I'm from California. Every bit of water, like BB and I only know, is some damned thing. No pun intended. Well, pun intended, I suppose. And there's nothing natural. And I had not been there, but Greg Meyer, who was a graduate of here and my first freshman coach, he always talked about it. And then once the Google Maps, I didn't even know it was 2,000 meters. Then we'd just stretch out. Wow, it's. Or Google Earth, we knew it was over 21, and then we went from there. And Steve, I think it was in 2011, 2012 that we started talking. And the first racing was in 2012, and it was great. That was, I mean, this will be the Olympics, our race compared to that race. It was seat of the pants. I know that's a shocker that anything we do is that way, but again, it's the good news. It's only 2,000 meters. Get there first. And speaking of that, I have to laugh. Paul is well trained, our athletic communications person. He sends emails always, like he did today. Didn't ask me because he knows he'll get no answer, but he asked the assistants about, do we have some sort of a schedule yet? And he always puts it like, he's trying to be polite, like, are you freaking kidding me? We don't have a schedule? Didn't it arrive? Okay. Well, maybe it didn't, but it's there. So anyway, it will get done, and it's a great place. Unbelievable, really. I forgot what the original question is, but I always do that with you. I'm sorry. Oh, God, now you're going.
The hardware that you have on the line this weekend, Jablana Cup.
Oh, Jablana Cup, right, and then
Cochran.
Congram Cup, right. And the Congram Cup, I will say, was sort of a coach, John Pajednik there. It's from a defunct regatta, and we're not proud, and it's all right. And Buzz Congram was a coach there for a long time, so it's legit. But it wasn't something we made up on the spot. But there is also a sword, too, that we jokingly call the Sword of a Thousand Truths, which goes to whatever crew we deem sort of whatever our expectations are, they exceed it. I think, to be honest with you, considering Northeastern races Saturday against Harvard in Boston, and then they race us Sunday afternoon at Devil's Lake, they automatically get that award every time they come here, because that shows a tremendous amount of resolve.
I was going to ask what the importance to your crews are of winning those. Do you put those kind of things as highly important?
Well, they used to be, but apparently they haven't been very important to the guys because we haven't won them. Like Al Davis said, just win, baby. That's what I found. It's really unusual that guys that win a lot keep winning a lot. Guys that lose a lot keep losing a lot. And I would say the current group, especially in the first 8, they've found a new toy, and that toy is to row hard for 2,000 meters no matter what, even when it doesn't, quote, feel good. And that's an exciting thing when you realize just that one thing alone makes you competitive, even if you don't win every race. That's something that was lost on some of the earlier classes. Every coach that's been around knows exactly what I'm talking about, and it seems like, oh, wow, that's it. Just play like 60 minutes, as football coaches always say. Not everybody can do that, and not each individual can do that, but finally we have a group that will do it. And I'm certain they're going to give whatever you see will be what they have, which is a vast improvement as opposed to a roulette wheel in each one of those little spaces equals win by 10, lose by 20. What you see is what you'll get on the day, which pleases me greatly.
Not to say that the races this weekend are insignificant, but would you ever consider having a bigger championship type regatta for men's rowing at Lake or at Devil's Lake?
Absolutely. Out of the blue, the guy who directs our national championship called me today, and he wanted to talk about Devil's Lake, but I think he was just, he calls me occasionally, so we talk, but he was happy to hear that it's been awarded the Big Ten. So absolutely, that can handle it, especially considering some of the places that last year we rode in Sacramento, which, if I remember, has a flow of around 4,000 cubic feet per minute, which sounds like a lot, but on a big lake, I don't think it is. But it had all the snow last year up in the Sierras. It was 16,000 feet per minute. That's a lot, and it really affects what happens. So, and that's a possibility at that particular place. And then now we're rowing at Mercer Lake, which is right near Princeton. I don't think it's a great course. So. But I don't know. We'll see.
If I'm not mistaken, you're the longest tenured coach here now. How does that make you feel?
It makes me scared because Barry retired and then Whitney left, and this is a true story. Coach A never calls me, and I have it Alvarez Barry on my phone. That's just the way I put a period in there, and then here I am in my car, and it shows up, because the fact that I figured out how to do that is impressive, that it goes right. And then literally 3 days after and immediately Linda Wilkins, his secretary / really COO, oh, well, coach wants to talk to you, just wants to know if you're available. And fortunately, she seemed friendly, as opposed to sad. And then I did not let him talk. I know that's a surprise, because even he is not immune to me. And I just said, Coach, you're never supposed to call me unless it's like really good news or something. And then his response was, he started laughing. All right, good, I'm set. This is not very serious. And it was simply that he has a buddy that has a rowing son, and he's interested in Wisconsin. So, but that made me nervous for a minute. I mean, this is, like changeover, It's like French Revolution type stuff. So I didn't want to be the next in line. But yes, I am the longest tenured coach. I am. So, and hopefully we can keep improving, or at least standing ground and getting better and better. BB, we were laughing about it. She still sees herself as a relatively short timer, but she's not. How many years, BB? It's been a long time. 14. Yeah, which is impressive. So, but yes, thank you for pointing that out. I don't know if I got like a jacket or something, but I'll wear it around.
If you were telling somebody who hasn't seen rowing or just want them to come this weekend to watch, what would you tell them? Why should they come down and watch you guys row?
Well, here's the good news. If the weather's nice, even if you have zero interest in rowing, it's an amazing place to be. And what usually makes a successful regatta, this is a little pathetic, is just if the weather's nice. It's just fun to be in these places, and it's a little bit like golf in that way. It's a beautiful place to be in. So even if they don't know, but you may be surprised about some of the things you see, just how big the people are. You don't realize our tallest guy is stroking around 6'11", 210 pounds. He's light, tall and skinny. It's pretty much who they are. Not all of them, but most of them. And that's one of the biggest things, though, is that because everybody looks pretty much the same when they're seated in a boat. Even I think, well, that guy can't be that big until he gets out of the water, because you want long-legged people who are generally short-torsoed who look even smaller. And then you realize they have size 38 inseam. That would be one thing, but also just watching the people interact and all how diminutive the coxswains are. It doesn't really matter how tall you are, it just matters how light you are. You don't want to be any more than around 125. We have all sorts of those guys running around. So we made a serious mistake that we've issued them red jackets. I could always tell from a distance. Now, literally every practice, I talk to the guys in my, who is that again? Because they're all these little guys wearing red jackets, and I can't tell who they are. So there are communication systems you can get. Maybe BB's more up on the tech than I am, so maybe I'll get one. I don't know. Do you talk directly to the coxswains that way yet or not? But you can. But I really don't want to introduce more tech. I'm still struggling with, cell phones, so I don't want to go any further. The good thing, that phone call, Andy, it all's well that ends well, so you have at least probably quite a few more years of these. So that's the good news.